electric trucks that oh, thank you, Joy. I forgot. Um, we'll hear about the kinds of electric trucks that are available from manufacturers like Mack Trucks and from Volvo Trucks of North America. And we'll hear some stories from fleet operators who are currently using electric trucks in their roles in their fleets in Hunts Point, Juan Corsino from Manhattan Beer, and Michael Fowles from City Harvest. And then we'll hear about several funding and incentive streams for electric trucks and the infrastructure that charges them from New York City DOT, from NYSERDA, and from Con Edison. And then we'll have a little bit of audience Q&A at the end. So this webinar is presented by the project partners of The Bronx is Breathing. The Bronx is Breathing, Reimagining a Cleaner Hunts Point is a suite of projects that have federal and state level funding to catalyze a clean transportation network in Hunts Point, which is both as we know, a residential neighborhood and a business area that sees a lot of diesel-powered trucking that helps power the economy of that area and feed New York City as it's the primary vector for food distribution throughout New York City. But ensuring that there's a clean transportation future where those trucks are beginning to be electrified and use clean power and reduce emissions is really critical. And that's sort of what brought this project team together. A lot of really great organizations here, pretty much all of which are represented here on the panel. So we'll be hearing a little bit more about that a little bit later. And as I mentioned, we've got funding from NYSERDA, which is funding three of the primary solutions, which we'll hear about in just a second, as well as funding from the Department of Energy. The Department of Energy gave some supplemental funding through the Vehicles Technology Office to do some electric vehicle roadmap planning, where we're planning for infrastructure for the community that'll support not only business EVs, but also EVs for folks who are professional drivers and who use micromobility throughout Hunts Point. And I believe we have Don Eversley on the call, who is from the Greater Hunts Point Economic Development Commission, and he's going to give us a little bit more background about the Bronx is Breathing as well. Don, are you on?
I was muted, sorry. Just to amplify what my colleague Joy just put in the chat, for those of you who want to share this information with colleagues, both the slides that we're presenting today, as well as a recording, will be available in the future on the Bronx is Breathing website. And also, we hope this will be a series. This will be the first of a series of seminars that we will roll out over the next 6 to 12 months, so that there will be additional opportunities to come back and bring some of your colleagues who didn't have a chance to join today. And also, as we get feedback from you on areas of particular interest, we can add new perspectives and new expertise in future seminars that can drill down on the many, many important subtopics within this whole subject of electric powered transportation. So I look forward to a good session today, and I would just offer that as we're at an inflection point in commercial transportation, where we have obviously legacy, 100-year legacy of internal combustion engines, a lot of EVs entering the private car market, school bus market, micromobility. Electric solutions for trucking is a little bit more cutting edge, but consider that we've been here before. About 100 years ago, we were making a transition from animal-borne trucks to engine-powered trucks. And those two modalities coexisted for over 30 years. And there were folks that were concerned, where were we going to buy gasoline outside of the cities? And what about the people that were making hay and buggy whips and harnesses and all those large animal doctors that, supported animal-borne transportation? Well, it was a process. And there were many innovations along the way that ultimately saw one mode of transportation give way to the next. So we're still in fairly early days. There's a number of exciting innovations that are coming out that we'll happily get into both today and in future seminars. And I encourage all of you to keep an open mind and sharpen your pencils and get your questions ready. Let's have a good seminar. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much, Don. And like Don said, we're covering as much as we can in our first hour here, but there's so much more that we want to cover. We want to cover repairability and workforce development, ensuring that Hunts Point and its fleets have workers who are able to repair and maintain these trucks for years to come. We want to talk about utility readiness. We'll get into a little bit of these things here, but there's so much more to dive in on than we have in just 1 hour. So we'll be having more of these in the future, and we'd love to hear from you guys in the Q&A section later about what specific questions you'd like to hear about. We already got a question in the chat about trailer refrigeration units, TRUs. So we'll be getting into all that good stuff later. So as I mentioned, there are three primary solutions that are coming from the NYSERDA funding from the Clean Transportation Prizes, which was awarded about 2 years ago to the Bronx's Breathing team. The first of which is a public charging hub for electric freight, an RFP for which just came out about a week and a half ago from the New York City Economic Development Commission. This solution will install charging islands with fast charging at both 350, 180, and 50 kilowatts for trucks, and then 180 for also for cars and trucks, as well as level 2 chargers and additional elements, including solar, beverage concessions, food concessions from Hunts Point-based businesses, and also as a center for workforce development and workforce training and upskilling workers. That RFP is out now. There are a couple of really interesting dates coming up. They'll be having an informational webinar and a site visit later in the summer. So definitely check that out on the New York City EDC website to read all of the details. If you know any partners who might be interested, there's no limit to how far we should spread this RFP. We want to make sure that we get a really good installation as a result of this funding. We're really excited about it. The second part of the solution is delivering electric trucks for City Harvest. Michael Fowles from City Harvest is on the call, and his food rescue organization, City Harvest, will be receiving a really interesting suite of electric trucks, which we'll hear about spec-wise from Volvo Trucks North America, who will be providing those trucks, and those will help really greatly reduce their carbon footprint, their emissions, as they carry out their really critical mission of delivering food to the neediest in New York City. They're a really great organization, and glad they're getting some of these really cutting edge vehicles, again, which we'll hear about from Volvo in just a little bit. And the third part of the solution is an electric trucking cooperative. It's a worker-owned cooperative, which will be built in collaboration with the almost 10,000 member drivers cooperative. And this co-op will provide access to EVs and exposure to EV technology for drivers and maintainers and workers in the Bronx, which is really exciting. So it's a really holistic solution that this project will be delivering. In addition to this sort of more community-facing and project that was funded by the Department of Energy, which is going to fund the development of this Hunts Point electrification roadmap. This project will be starting just next week on Tuesday, July 30th at the Point. We'll be having our first community listening session where we're bringing in members of the community, both the residential community of Hunts Point and the business community of Hunts Point, to hear about what they want their electrified transportation future to look like in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of support, in terms of where electric vehicle charging infrastructure is located. So that'll be a really interesting process. So if you're interested at all, if you're a fleet, if you're a member of the community, definitely come on out to the Point on Garrison Ave right there in Hunts Point next Tuesday at 5, and we'd love to hear from you and have you be involved in the community listening process as we construct our roadmap. So now I'm gonna hand it over to Tyler Olmenseek from Mack Trucks and to Roberto Camacho from Volvo Trucks North America. Take it away, guys.
Yeah, thanks, David. And I appreciate you having us on today and to talk a little bit more about what we're doing from the Mack Trucks and Volvo Trucks North America brands. It's a very exciting time to dive in, and we appreciate the collaboration and partnership with everything that's going on with NYSERDA and Empire's Clean Cities. I think it's important to highlight it takes a lot of different stakeholders, and appreciate to see the efforts and the communication. I think it's, an ongoing series like this is important. And so I think it's important to kind of stay in the know. Roberto, I'm going to take the first 2 slides or so, and then we'll kind of jump in, go back and forth, but we have a lot of good information to kind of talk about. But before I start, let Roberto kind of introduce himself as well, and we can kind of kick it off.
Good morning. Thank you, Taylor. As Tyler said, my name is Roberto Camacho, and I'm the regional sales person for the Northeast region of Volvo Trucks North America. And I wanted to say that I'm really glad to see a couple of names that we already, or excuse me. I was saying that I'm really glad to see some of the names that we have interacted 2 years ago when we presented 2 trucks in the Hunts Point market. So thank you again. Thank you for having us.
That's great. Yeah, so a little bit about this Mack Trucks and Volvo Trucks North America is part of the Volvo Group brand. And so when we start looking at the Volvo Group targets and a little bit about that, we all have our own, obviously, alignment. And so why electromobility right now? And so you can kind of see there's many different ways to get to our doing our part in reducing the CO2 emissions and some of the goals and targets that we have. But amongst that too, we also have the things on the right-hand side. You look at technology investment and maturity into the actual trucks themselves and where we're going and how they're going to become more efficient. Look at policy and regulatory demands. It doesn't, if you start looking at different states and regulations and what comes down in the upcoming years, it's always important to understand what that means and how does it apply to someone's own operations. Customer expectations, right? We were approached by many customers many years ago asking for a zero emission vehicle option and platform. And we continuously keep it in the main focus of what we do as the brands here in North America. And then the last 2, societal needs and climate and environmental challenges. I think they kind of speak for themselves. There's a lot of points around that. There's a lot of different touch points to making sure that we stay on the front end of those 2 parts right there. So if we could kind of flip to the next slide. The next 2 slides, and I'll let Roberto talk about the next one, but when you look at this slide, the manufacturers in North America, how to approach selling battery electric vehicles, selling zero emission platforms a little bit differently than what they've been used to before. Given the technology and all of the newness to this, we actually had to develop subject matter experts to provide our customers, fleet operators, our dealerships, and our own internal teams the ability to know that there's different parts to selling these vehicles, putting them in as a project, like in the Hunts Point, and they're like, so every single one of these bullets that you see on the screen today represents some sort of subject matter expert, part of the project of rolling out zero emission vehicles. And we go from the truck side to the uptime and serviceability to charging, to route optimization, training, and then the financial piece. And obviously you can see some of the other information on there, but just so it's important to note that this is what you get when you come and work with an OEM in our dealerships. When you're interested in learning more about battery electric vehicles or ready to purchase, you're getting an on-suite of experts to try to go and help, ease the transition to running clean technology. I'll let Roberto go to the next slide and talk a little bit about that. You're on mute, Roberto.
Sorry, it wasn't a mute. Just piggybacking on what Tyler was saying is that when you see or analyze the 2 ecosystems, you see that we always emphasize on route optimization or route simulations. As the equipment gets the development that the market demands, we need to be sure that we help you guys to be sure that the battery capacity or the energy storage capacity will satisfy your needs. That's why part of the optimization routing or what the part of the ecosystem is always emphasizing on the route. To be honest, and as we have been repeating during this couple of minutes, the electric truck is a reality, and and we have the truck and we're producing the truck is working, truck is performing as expected. I think that what makes the difference is how we help you guys and how we help the industry to adapt this as smooth as possible. The Volvo Group have its own financial entities. We definitely offer financial services around the spectrum from the medium duty on the Mack side up to the tractor on the Volvo side. And of course, a big part of this is, as Paul was mentioning, is part of the charging and infrastructure. That's something that without that, definitely this is not going to be suitable. So the Volvo Group has its own resources to help you and to instruct you on how to invest, when to invest, and what type of equipment you guys need to be successful. And of course, maintenance and repair. All of our products, the Volvo Group products, they come with a total coverage service contract or maintenance contract that will not only cover all the repairs, but also the battery protection. So that's basically a global ecosystem that we can offer, or we offer, for both of our products. Can you go to the next slide, please? Tala, I'll let you describe your baby there.
Yeah, thanks, Roberto. Yeah, so what we're going to do for the next 3 slides from the Mack brand, high level, we're going to tell you what's available for order today. When you start looking at all of the developments, where Roberto touched on a lot of key points, and we have a lot of the same material, but we want to show you a whole roundedness. When you come not just to Volvo trucks and Mack trucks, you're able to supply and buy and purchase many different coverages when it comes from Class 6 all the way up to Class 8. So on the Mack brand side, the Mack medium duty electric launched last year. Very excited about it. Very powerful with the horsepower and torque. It comes in 2 different battery configurations. The batteries are in between the frame rails. So when you start looking at the 2 battery pack, it comes in 150 kilowatts, and the 3 battery pack for the extended range is 240 kilowatts. When you look at the Class 6 under CDL and then the Class 7 CDL, given the different ranges and compared to our diesel counterpart, you're able to get a max payload of around 19,400 pounds. Obviously, the body needs to be part of that equation, but we can tell you when running battery electric vehicles, especially in the medium duty market, this is very advantageous. So we're very happy for this. This will be 4 trucks that are going to be running part of this pilot. We have 2 van bodies, and then we'll have 2 refrigerated van bodies that will be coming the following year. But it's very important to know that we've developed this, and this is available for purchase today. Maybe we can go to the next slide. And then looking at a little bit of product diversification, this is the truck that we launched into, the Mack LR Electric refuse application. Again, horsepower, torque, very powerful, very responsive, as you would expect for a battery electric vehicle. This has 4 battery packs, 376 kilowatts. There's 2 behind the cab, and there's 2 on the left-hand frame rail, as you can see there in this picture. And then the max payload is 25,000 pounds. And again, you have to add into the body and other different points to that. But what's very important to know about this, and this will be 1 truck running part of this project, is that these vehicles are meant for battery electric vehicle and refuse pickup collection, and they're geared towards it. So there's a lot of advantageous with their generation braking, and they operate just as they would a diesel or a CNG variant. So we're very proud to look at these vehicles and have them available for sale today. And then one last slide. I think this is very important to talk about, and Roberto will then get into some of what the VTNA, Volvo Trucks North America brand, is producing. But on the Mack side, just as Volvo Trucks does as well, we're really application excellence. It is very important to understand what the end use case would be for this vehicle. And that's because we want to make sure the weight distribution and the serviceability, and if there's auxiliary power needs, is understood. So when you start looking at purchasing any kind of clean technology, understanding the use case, the route, the application, and if there's a body that's going to be put on it is very important. And so we're really focusing our core segments on these 4. Obviously, there's a little bit more within different product segmentation, but it's not available for every type of application today. We will get there. Everybody get there. The industry will continue to evolve. And so that's what's important part of the learning process. In this series, kind of what we talked about earlier in the very beginning, is it's an ongoing knowledge. Now, it's not a monthly change, but when you start looking at year over year, quarter over quarter, different applications and different technology, maturity comes in to run different applications. So appreciate it. And I'll hand it over to Roberto for the next few slides.
Yeah, thank you. Just trying to wrap up to keep up with the schedule. Just being sure that to reemphasize what Tyler just said is that you need to also be sure that you target the right segments, right? We believe that starting with local distribution and regional distribution is the right move because the battery or energy capacity, and definitely we continue as a group believing that regional haul and long haul, we're gonna see it maybe in 10 years by a hybrid combination. We want to keep the electric powertrain, but maybe with a fuel cell attached so we can continue extending that range. Can you please go to the next slide, please? And as Tyler was mentioning, it is always important to show you how some key players within the trucking market are already adapting, and definitely we're going to hear from my very good friend Juan on the top left corner and his trucks, but also Arberson, Performance Team, Penske, SAI, and QCD. They're already deployed trucks, and we have around 500 trucks working around the country. And as I said at the beginning, fortunately, our trucks are performing, the trucks are working, the trucks are keeping running, and we have accumulated almost 6 million miles when it comes to the Volvo Group electric trucks around the country. So that's not a small number. It's definitely something to show you guys that this is a reality and the truck is performing. Can you go to the next slide and maybe to wrap up? Quickly to describe the configurations that we have is that we see each other as a complement. We definitely offer the 3 version of the tractors, from the single axle to the tandem axle, and we also offer a 6x2, which one of the axle is a tag axle. But we also offer a Class 7 truck, a straight truck, in the case that your payload is more than what the MD offers. So definitely the VNI electric straight truck 6x4 is a really good option for those heavy payloads that demand a straight truck or a van or a refrigerator equipment. And remember that specific truck, the payload is 5,400 pounds on the GCW. So that would be all for us. And thank you again. And we're open to questions.
Great. Thank you both so much. Really lovely information, and yeah, we'll have open Q&A at the end, and we've got a question chain just opened up in the chat so anybody who has questions for these 2 great OEMs, feel free to drop those there or wait till the end. And Tyler, especially like that slide of the Mac LR. It looked like it was maybe photographed on Hoover Dam or something. It looked very cool. Great. So we've talked about the trucks and we've heard about their capabilities, and now let's hear from some folks who have been using them successfully in the Hunts Point region for quite a while now. Juan Corsino is a wonderful person who we've worked with very closely at Empire Clean Cities for many years now. He's a wealth of experience, and his drivers and his operators and the folks who keep his fleet running and keep all of our wonderful cold beverages coming to and fro in the greater New York City area certainly appreciate them. So Juan, if you'd like to spend a couple minutes talking about your experience with your electric trucks, we'd really appreciate that. Thanks so much for being here. Hey Juan, I see you're here. You're unmuted. Are you available? Wait, Juan might be having some technical difficulty.
Can you hear me now, David?
Oh, there you are. Hey, we got you.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction. So as you say, I had some experience with electric vehicles. we've been using electric trucks for the past 3 years. The electric trucks and tractor are reliable. I have been successfully using Volvo for the past 3 years, and the trucks are good. We don't have any complaint from our drivers. They absolutely love the trucks, and it's a plus for driver retention for us. Driver prefer to go out on a truck like the Volvo electric and spend 8 hours on a constable ride. And once I assign an electric truck to a driver, it's very hard to get it back on a diesel truck or even a natural gas truck. So for the driver, it's a great asset for driver retention. For reliability, we had 3 facilities within New York City that the electric trucks can cover every one of our route with one full charge. So we charge the truck complete and deploy it from our facility, any of our facility, and can finish the route with one charge. Great in the winter. The heater issue was a complaint in the past, was addressed by Volvo. So we do not have any complaint on the trucks. We did have some challenging with the battery chargers where we have a limited amount of time to charge the vehicle, but that has been resolved thanks to the help of a mobile unit that we acquired, and we were using a company that went out of business on the charger side. Probably we went in too early, and a lot of people were having hiccups with battery chargers. But we brought in a solution. We use a mobile truck that charged our trucks in less than an hour, where in the past, the main issue was that you had to plug in a truck for 4 hours, 5 hours, and that was not scalable. So after we got over the issue with the chargers, our performance of the truck is much better. They go out every day. Today, we are operating 11 Class A tractor trailers and bus trucks. The mobile chargers temporary, we are bringing, in probably 2 months, we are bringing a faster charger than the mobile charger from the same company. We are using a stationary charger, 380 kilowatt hour. So our trucks that are set 250 kilowatt per hour, and the size of the battery, normally you use around 150 to 180 kilowatts on the route throughout the day. So when you bring the truck back at 30% of the energy, you plug it into our new charging station, and the truck will charge in 30 minutes. You can push 200, the truck only has set 250 kilowatt hour. So the truck will take those 250 kilowatt in 1 hour. So you came back with 30%, you don't need 250 kilowatt. You will need around 180, and you'll be able to charge the truck to 100% in 30 minutes. And our goal is to drop it lower than that. We are working on bringing the charging station to 15 to 20 minutes to get the truck from 20% to 100%. We should accomplish that by the end of this year. When we're done with that, we'll be competitive with what we'll take to fuel a diesel truck. When you take a diesel truck to your fuel pump, you last 10 minutes easily just pumping fuel to pump 100 gallons of diesel on your fuel tank. So we're trying to reduce the charging time to the minimum to be competitive with the time that you spend fueling your regular gasoline. At that point, you will not need to have one charger dedicated to each truck. You can have a charger just like your fueling island, where you just drive the truck, sit it there for 20 minutes, and go ahead, move the truck and park it. So I'm very excited to be able to accomplish that and get the truck charged that fast. That was our only concern moving forward on electrification. We did slow down a little bit because of that issue that we were having with charger, but now that we are back on track, we are moving forward with electric. We still use CNG trucks, but our future vision is moving forward toward electric.
Fantastic. Thanks, Juan. Yeah, I would also love to hear from Michael Fowles from City Harvest, who is going to be on the receiving end of these trucks from Mack and Volvo in the very near future, thanks to the truck veterans or the Bronx is Breathing funding.
Yeah, thanks, David. And as David pointed out, we haven't yet received the Volvo Class 7 trucks, and we're looking forward to that. But I do have experience with electric trucks in the past, and I just want to echo Juan's comment about the comfort level of drivers, particularly in the winter with electric trucks, was challenging initially, and I think that's something that can be addressed over time. But the comfort level with electric trucks doesn't necessarily get the cab of the truck where the operators are as warm as a diesel truck would be. And at City Harvest, we are required to have 100% refrigeration, and that's something we are still partnering with Volvo and our other partners with to ensure that the food that City Harvest is picking up and delivering throughout New York City and beyond is within the safe temperature zones that we require it to be. So I know in the past that has been an issue, and refrigeration units were diesel powered on electric trucks, but that's something that we hope that the refrigeration component will be 100% battery powered. But we look forward to working with our partners on this and rolling these out in the coming months and years. Back to you, David.
Great. Thanks, Michael. And really excited to continue to hear those stories. I know those trucks will be getting to you very, very soon. Very excited to see those once they get there in that wonderful City Harvest livery. Yeah. So now let's talk a little bit about the funding streams that are available to bring these trucks to your fleet. We've got several funding streams available for the trucks themselves. The first of which that we'll talk about here is the New York City Clean Trucks Program, which is a program of the New York City Department of Transportation. And we've got Susan McSherry from the New York City Department of Transportation to tell us all about it. Take it away, Susan.
Hi and good afternoon to everybody. Can you see me by any chance?
You look great.
We got
Yeah.
you.
Okay, good. Because I don't see myself. Okay, good. So yes, good afternoon. Great to see everybody and see such a great number of people on this webinar. And shout out to the Bronx's Breathing team for all of the efforts that they've been putting in to make this truck charging hub in the future a reality. And as we've been working on the New York City Clean Trucks program for over 10 years now, and particularly in Hunts Point, it's really gratifying to see the transition to electrification, and the OEMs, the community, and the businesses starting to coalesce around this. And together we will ensure success for sure. Next slide, please. So I think many of you are aware of the program. We've been around for quite a while now. We replace older diesel vehicles. Basically, we take older qualifying vehicles, 1992 to 2009. We walk you through an application process to confirm that your trucks meet the requirements of the funding. We have funds for Class 4 through Class 7 for local goods movement and commercial diesel fuel trucks, and Class 8 for port drayage and local freight as well. The vehicles that are currently in use need to be located or operate within 0.5 miles of a program approved IBZ for the previous 24 months at a minimum. Hunts Point is obviously an IBZ within our program. The old trucks need to be registered in the 9-county New York metropolitan area, or NYMA as we call it, for the previous 24 months, and must have operated at least 5,000 miles annually. And at the end of the process of qualifying the older vehicle for replacement, there is scrappage required for the older truck, and that ensures our funders which are Federal Highway Administration, and currently the Volkswagen consent decree order, which is being managed by New York State DEC. They have funded us for a number of years now. Funding is, scrappage is required. So next slide, please. I'm just wondering if I can shut off the chat here because it keeps popping in on me. But anyway, okay. So replacement trucks, the new truck needs to be brand new. It's not a retrofit, needs to perform the same function as the original old vehicle. You know, if you're a cement operator, a cement truck, the new truck needs to be a cement truck. In general, we must have the same weight for the vehicles. And we have, though, because of BEV and because of the weight of the batteries, et cetera, we've applied for and received an amendment and some flexibility for increasing the weight class up to 2 sizes to a maximum Class 7 truck. So, you know, for instance, if you have a Class 5, you would like to scrap that and get a new vehicle, you can go up as high as Class 7, but Class 8 needs to be replaced with a Class 8. The vehicles need to be operated as if you were operating the older vehicle, which is within 0.5 miles of a IBZ, a Clean Truck Program approved IBZ, twice a week at a minimum. And in order for us to help document compliance with the program, we require that an ABL is installed on the vehicles so that we can monitor that the program is you know, creating the emissions benefit within the communities that we see the vehicles have, you know, operated in the past and continue to operate in those areas, as well as the tri-state area. 70% of VMT needs to be within the tri-state area. Next slide, please. So, yeah, as I said, we've been doing this for a long time, but we've been doing a lot of diesel to diesel replacements over the years. As David said, or some of the other speakers had said, this transition is, you know, reaching sort of a critical point now where battery electric vehicles are working, they are reliable, they fit your needs, and they are here to stay, and they make a lot of sense in various different duty cycles. So we've responded to that and worked with our funders to help offer some very attractive incentives to all of these weight class categories, from Class 4 at $100,000 to up to Class 8 at $215,000. And one of the new announcements that we can report on today is that we have been working with DEC and with NYSERDA, and have changed the way that we calculate the incentive benefit. So now instead of having to base it off of a diesel baseline vehicle versus the new electric vehicle, we will be looking at 75% of the dealer sales invoice and capping that 75% based on this matrix that you see to the right. And yes, so there's an example down below that kind of shows that as well. The amendments that we added are that if you don't have an older qualifying truck, that you can actually go out and find a third party to purchase a truck off of. We allow that to happen. That old vehicle must be registered in New York State and meet the insurance and the mileage requirements. And we can approve that and use that vehicle to sort of meet that scrappage issue. And that the truck must meet all, the sale of that must meet New York State requirements, including but not limited to title transfer and sales tax payment as well. And if you'd like more information, please feel free to reach out to our team. The information is listed right there, and thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Susan. This is such a really great program. And, there are so many fleets who we've worked with in the past who have gotten, newer, cleaner trucks on the road to replace their older ones thanks to this program. And we look forward to, many more years of New York Clean Trucks program getting clean trucks onto the streets of New York, and delivering our goods and our people and everything that we need in a much cleaner fashion. And that is what another program that I'm just going to very briefly touch on is about, New York Truck Voucher Incentive Program, which is basically, imagine the New York Clean Trucks program scaled up to the state level. It's administered by NYSERDA, and it funds 100% zero emission medium and heavy duty trucks, transit buses, and paratransit shuttle buses. And the vouchers that it provides help reduce the upfront purchase costs of cleaner trucks and buses, as you might imagine, and very similar to what Susan just ran us through for the New York Clean Trucks program. Very similar process where you work with your OEM, your contractor, and as a vehicle fleet, you go through the scrappage process and the application process to get the voucher for your new, cleaner, zero emission truck. As of the spring of this year, the funding cap for truck vouchers is across all classes has been increased by 250%. Previously a single fleet could only claim vouchers up to 25% of the available funding for each category, which is great. Here's just a little look at the voucher amounts for each class and for each vehicle type. There are going to be some updates coming to these incentive levels a little bit later in 2024. So look out for, a webinar announcement and for updates from NYSERDA as they continue to update this program. Here's just a little bit look at the scrappage requirements where, you're blowing a hole in the engine block and cutting the frame to make sure that the diesel truck that's being replaced through the program isn't redeployed on the road at some other point in the future. It's a very interesting process if you've ever been privy to it. It's pretty cool. And here's just a little bit more about eligibility. These slides will be posted online later today. We're just running a little bit behind schedule, so I'm just breezing through here. And if you've got any questions about New York Truck Voucher Incentive Program, feel free to email me at david@empirecleancities.org. And just breezing right along, we're gonna hand it over to Allison Kling from Con Ed, who's gonna talk about Con Ed's Power Ready program, which helps upgrade sites that are looking to install EV supply equipment, EVSE, to supply their electric vehicles.
Great. Thanks, David. Hi, everyone. This will be more of a teaser. We'll do kind of deep dives on future webinars. But we totally understand at Con Edison that EV infrastructure is new and complicated and sometimes hard to figure out. So we have a team here to help you wherever you are in that process. If you're just starting to think about it, or if you've got pretty robust plans, we have support, advice, and also some incentives that you can stack on top of everything that Susan and Dave talked about. So real quick, we have site assessments. If you're thinking about EV charging and want to understand potential timelines for bringing the power to your site, or what you can do today without upgrades, we have a dedicated team here that looks at the utility side of the fence and helps you understand any timelines or potential upgrades that you might need for different charging scenarios. Never too early to talk to the utility. So even if you're just starting to think about it, please reach out. We have a group of people who want to help you understand how all of this works. And if we go to the next slide. We also have a charging calculator. This is a really important part of the equation, which is the cost of running this power through electricity rather than buying it at a gas station. We have an online web tool that will help you understand different charging scenarios, the electric rate associated with them, different incentives that we can use to help you cut down on those operational costs. Really great tool that can help you kind of understand the different options and how shifting your charges to other times can help you save money. And then I'll move on to our infrastructure incentive for medium and heavy. This actually stacks right on top of clean trucks and the TVIP program that you heard about. Con Edison can help pay for some of the utility side work and also some of the customer side costs if you're putting in charging infrastructure. So we'll send these slides out, but please, my message here is reach out if you're interested, and we can set up a dedicated call to walk through this program. And lastly, our Smart Charge program is an operational incentive that basically gives you incentives for charging overnight at more grid beneficial times or for avoiding 4-hour peak windows, depending on where you are on our system. Again, we can do more deep dives, or happy to talk to anyone who wants to do one-on-ones. But lots of incentives out there from Con Edison that you can stack on top of those other programs. Thank you so much, and I'll hand it over to David to take it to questions.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Allison. And yeah, there's each one of these programs and each one of these stories could be a 1-hour webinar on their own. So we're really just trying to give the high level overview here and see what folks would like to know more of in terms of electric trucks and trucking. And we're getting some really great questions in the chat to look at. But one more thing that'll be of interest to a lot of the fleets who are here is another New York Clean Transportation Prize awarded by NYSERDA about 2 years ago called FEAST, Freight Electrification as a Service for Transformation. I really like their acronym. And I think Joy will just have a little bit of an overview of the upcoming fleet listening session that's coming through FEAST.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Joy Gardner, Executive Director of Empire Clean Cities. I will make this very brief, but we will be hosting later this summer a virtual focus group, as David mentioned, specifically for fleets in the New York City area. This is for fleets who either have already started on their electrification journey or they are interested in talking a little bit about their decision-making process to get there. This listening session focus group will be completely anonymous, and so your feedback will not be shared with any vendors or external parties. We just want to hear directly from fleets. Eligible participants, meaning those who are part of a New York City-based fleet, will be eligible to receive a $200 gift card. We are going to drop the link in the chat, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. This is a great opportunity for your fleet managers, for your operators, for drivers, those who are key decision makers in your electrification journey. So I'll pause there, and then we can dive right into questions.
Perfect. And just one more huge thank you to our Bronx is Breathing team and to all of our guests from Manhattan Beer and from Con Ed. This is a really great project team. We've been working together for the better part of 2 years now and are really starting to feel the acceleration of what this funding has provided and what this team is able to do with the RFP that's come out from EDC and all of the great community engagement that we have coming up. Again, we've got a community listening session at the Point CDC next Tuesday. So just really, really proud of this team and absolutely love everything that we've been able to put together. So let's move into some Q&A. I think just so we can all see each other, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we can return to our big old grid. So let's see, we've got a lot of great questions in the chat. I'm going to move up as far as I can here. Frank and Fred asked whether there's any current forecast for pricing. I bet that's a question for Mac and for Volvo, Roberto and Tyler. If one of you guys is interested in tackling that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And so from the OEM side, we sell our trucks through our local distributors, so that represent the Mack and Volvo Trucks brand. So as OEMs, we're not obliged to talk about pricing, but obviously running new technology is more expensive. Hence the reason for some of all the great programs coming in to offset some of the upcharge and some of the new technology. So just know the case that money there today, we always encourage our customers to go after it to help offset that. And to help bring down the TCO when running these vehicles. Obviously, you get the TCO from the vehicle itself, but then also from the offset of some of the financial incentives. So really around that, it's really all I can kind of talk to just due to our agreements. But look, they're available. Our dealerships, if you're interested, they're all registered through the program, and they'd be happy to discuss more in detail.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. Anything to add there, Roberto, or?
No, just it's exactly what Tyler just said. I mean, all our dealers around, you guys are more than capable to give you pricing immediately if needed. Yeah.
Fantastic. And then just a slight diversion there to refrigeration. This is something that we touched on a little bit, but Susan asked in the chat, is refrigeration technology, the TRUs, is that being developed in-house or with other typical companies, stuff like Carrier or Thermo King? What type of tech is it? And I wanted to actually ask Michael. So those TRUs that you're getting for the trucks that are going to be coming to City Harvest, those are ETRUs, right? They're battery powered electric truck or trailer refrigeration units.
Yeah, that is the hope and the expectation, but since we don't yet have them, I can't say with confidence exactly what that looks like in the specs, but that's the hope. Yes.
Gotcha. And then, just one more question from Susan was the advertised range for the vehicles, was that based on full payload or empty?
Yeah, when a range is put out by us, we look at a holistic view. So that's throughout the course of the day. If you go out full and you come back empty, or if you go out empty and you come back full, or if it's an ascending payload, so you're going out, but then halfway you're going to bring stuff back. It's a conservative number that we're running through different tests, different kind of weather, and different kind of areas. So when you start looking at the anything that's put out in the announced in marketing material per se, you just want to know within guidelines that obviously can operate a little bit different, or it could go above or below. But for the most part, we're trying to give an average of what we know that the technology can do on a consistent basis.
Perfect. That's really helpful to know. I'm glad that it's not just sort of the range went empty, that it's really reflective of what fleets are doing every day. That's fantastic. A question from Zach from Tanny. Hey, Zach. Zach's curious what the timeline from when a fleet expresses interest in purchasing one of the Mack or Volvo e-trucks is to when they take possession of it, understanding that there are a host of variables, but a ballpark number would be helpful.
So I'll answer from the Mack side, because any Mack BEV that you buy, you're going to have to get a body. A little bit different than than maybe the Volvo truck side for getting the tractor. But for all intents and purposes, we're about 20 weeks to build the chassis. So from there, then by the time it gets shipped off to a body company, at the body company, it can range. So if it's a dry van body, maybe you're 90 days. If it's a little bit more, or stake bed or flat bed, but if it's a little bit more in depth, you probably could expect 90 to 120 days, maybe 160. So within 10 months could be, depending if all the everything lines up perfectly from the body side and the chassis combination side. But I'll let Roberto speak to on his end of his expertise in his products.
Thank you, Tyler. Well, the Volvo product is a little bit different. As Tyler said, we don't need, on the majority of our products, we don't need the body. The fact that it's a tractor, and also the fact that we have been commercializing the truck since 3 or 4 years ago, we actually have some dealers that around the country have stock in the ground. When it comes to a brand new truck, we are taking between 3 to 6 weeks, so 1.5 months from the moment that you guys confirm the order to the moment to deliver. Yeah, so that's the lead time on the tractors. Of course, when it comes to a straight truck, we can produce the truck also quite fast, 1.5 months, but then you need to consider the time that you're going to spend at the bodybuilder. So yeah.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thanks so much, you guys. You guys are just a wealth of information. It's great to hear from the OEM side. And let's see, we could pivot a little bit more to the land side and the charging side a little bit. Here's a question about how much land is needed for charging the vehicles. And 30,000 plus pounds GVWR. That might be a question for Allison, or maybe Juan could speak to that as well.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? How many pounds do you need to charge the vehicle? How much power you need is the question.
The question was how much land or how much area was needed for charging the vehicles in terms of the, you know, the area for where they need to park and position themselves to get charged up.
So the charger itself basically can take anywhere from a 2x2. Those are my first charger. They just take like a 2x2 area for the charger itself and bollard around it. So it's not a lot of space. Most of the charging station today look like just your regular gasoline station where you have a 2x4 with a charger sitting on top and bollard around it that you pull over right next to it to charge. So not much space is needed for the charger.
Okay.
But just one thing to add is also as part of the, as you're figuring out kind of what kind of charging you need, if it's, you know, 1-to-1 per truck, or if you're going to stagger trucks, really something that you can look into on how that configuration will look. But Juan's absolutely right. It's not a huge footprint, but there might be also electric equipment that needs to go with it. I'll do another plug to come talk to your utility to help understand that. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be sure to include, you know, the relevant contacts for everyone. You know, there's so many questions to be asked, especially if you're a fleet in this space, to figure out who you need to connect with, and we'll make sure that we get all that out. Don says we should maybe do a dedicated TRU seminar since we barely touch it. I agree. You know, the emissions that come from refrigeration, you know, for everyone here who's been to the market, you know, there's you've got the parallel buildings that run by where all the companies have store their wares and everything, but there's also so much auxiliary storage in the big parking area with just stationary trailers that are basically just big fridges that are almost all running diesel powered refrigeration units. So we can definitely touch on that. And I believe there's a webinar from maybe a year or two ago on the ECC former events page, where we did an ETRU or a TRU webinar, maybe 2 years ago. I don't recall. But regardless, I'm sure there's some updates in that space as well. So we are a little bit over time here, and there's a couple questions that we didn't get to, but I just want to say that everyone, thank you so much for coming. We've got some really great folks here who presented, and thank you so much to our presenters. We'll send out an email this afternoon that'll have a recording, that'll have the slides, and then it'll also have a brief survey where we, you know, can hear from you guys, and we'd love to know what speakers, what companies, what topics you'd like to hear from or hear covered on the next webinar in this series that we'll probably do a little bit later once the fall runs around. And if you're interested in anything else about the Bronx is Breathing, feel free to reach out to me or to anyone else who's on the project team from this call. And of course, we'll include some contacts. So thank you everyone so much for coming and really appreciate your time and your questions. And we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, David. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you.